Hi, I'm Neil Beck, and I was a doctor in Perth, Western Australia for 53 years. First of all in hospitals, and then as a family doctor in the suburbs for many years. And we hadn't had a medical school until 1959, so I had to go to the Adelaide Medical School, and we were short of specialists in Perth. So in the early days, family doctors had to do lots of things that they don't do now. I helped to bring 800 babies into the world. I did a lot of appendectomies and tonsillectomies and vasectomies and broken bones and cuts and a lot of mental health care. And I was always very interested in the people who suffered the most and got the worst treatment. And that turned out to be people with mental health problems. I came to the conclusion that the most important thing in life was to be mentally healthy. The people who were mentally healthy got everything else they needed, but the people with mental health problems often suffered very badly. Well, to all degrees, some mildly, some moderately, and some very badly. And the ones who suffered most often ended up becoming addicts, because in a crisis it was quicker to get relief from street drugs or alcohol than it was to get it from a doctor or an addiction clinic. So what I realized was that there was never going to be enough mental health care for all the people who needed mental health care. And that was a problem because waiting lists were getting longer and longer, and on waiting lists people get worse and worse. And when they finally get their turn, they've often had problems which have caused more problems, which have caused more problems, so that they need a lot of work. They take a lot of time, and that makes the waiting lists even longer and worse for the people coming along behind them. So over the years I developed 10 tools to try to make mental health care much more effective, much faster and much easier. The early tools were videos. There was no faster, better, lower cost way to understand your mental health problems than to watch the right videos over and over again till you understood. That was much faster than consulting with a doctor or a psychologist. And I also had websites, had a number of websites, but the second last one was mental health videos, A-to-Z.com. And I had at one stage 31 8 to 12 minute videos on that, but people stopped watching long videos over the years, and I eventually realized that what I had to do was make TikTok type videos. That's what most people were watching, under a minute videos. Even a minute was too long for a lot of them. So now I've got 83 under a minute videos that cover every aspect of mental health and addiction. But if there are 83 videos, which ones do you watch? Because you probably, if you've got mental health problems, which everybody has, you've probably got 5 or 6 or 7 of them, but you don't have 83. So which videos do you watch? And the solution to that was, first of all, having the videos listed on the website, but the website mentalhealthvideos a to z.com was too long, so then I got a new website which is just smilefixit.com, smilefixit.com, and in 2 pages it covers everything, and it's got links, and you just tap the links to the items that you want more information on. And the next tool was the Mental Fixit app. The Mental Fixit app asked 38 questions about every aspect of mental health and addiction, and you would tap your choice of, in most questions, 3 answers: no, moderate or severe, and get an instant report. And the instant report told you 4 things that you needed to know. Firstly, it told you which 6 of our 83 videos would help you most with the particular problems that you'd tapped severe on, or moderate or severe. So then in 6 minutes you could watch 6 1-minute videos that gave you great information on your main problems. The second thing that the Mental Fixit app instant report told you was which medicines were likely to help you most. The third thing it told you was a complete list of all the things that you had tapped as a moderate or a severe problem. And it gave a score to each of those items depending on how important that item was and how badly you had it, whether you had it mildly, moderately or severely. So severe cases of the worst problems, like say schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder, might get a score of 14 or 15. A moderate case or a mild case of those might get a score of 8 or 9. A severe case of a milder disorder also would get a score of 8 or 9, and items which are not as important and which you had to only to a mild degree would get a score of 3 or 4. So the third thing it told you was what all the items were that you had tapped as being a problem and what their scores were, and the fourth item was a total score. Each time you did the app check, which we recommend you did every day to start with, and then fairly often, because every time you read a question and you ask yourself yes or mild or moderate and think about it, you get clearer about that thing. So repeating the app gets you clearer and clearer and clearer. And of course watching the videos that it recommends make you clearer and clearer and clearer. And the app program puts the total scores in a graph, and that's very important because each time you did the app you got a total score, and if you were on the correct treatment your total scores were getting better and better and better. And if your total scores were getting better, then you knew you were on the right treatment and you continued on with it. But you could see at a glance if your total scores were not getting better. If your total scores were staying high and not getting better, then you needed to review your treatment. So learning quickly whether your treatment is effective or not is very important in getting better. The fourth tool was live streaming, which is what I'm doing now, because I found that a lot of people like to watch live streaming. So I do live streaming 4 times a week, on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Perth time, and 9 a.m. Sunday Perth time, which of course is a different time in Sydney and Melbourne and a different time in the US or Canada or the UK or Sweden or Denmark or Norway, where we get viewers. The fifth tool was powder medicine. One of the big problems and the reasons why there's never going to be enough mental health care for all the people who need it is that the medicines had great weaknesses. A lot of the medicines given to people with mental health problems and addiction problems were addictive. The people who need to take medicines, and medicines can be very helpful if you get the right ones and they're not addictive. They wanted to take the medicine, get better quickly and stop taking it, but the people who make medicines want to sell as much medicine as possible, and they manage to do that in a few different ways. One is they make as many medicines as addictive as possible, so people get on these medicines and they can't get off them. And also they make the medicines very slow. They're mostly tablets and capsules, and tablets and capsules, you swallow them, you need to have a drink to wash them down. They take half an hour to an hour to go right down your gut and start to get into your bloodstream to go to your brain or wherever they're needed. And half an hour to an hour to start, and 1 to 2 hours to work strongly is just too slow. Powder medicine, which you drop on your tongue and you don't swallow it, you suck it, goes straight into the bloodstream of the tongue. Your tongue is red or pink because the blood vessels are so close to the surface, and when you sprinkle thousands of tiny grains of powder medicine on your tongue and suck it, it gets into the bloodstream and to your brain or wherever it's needed within 5 minutes. So you start to feel better in 5 minutes, and it's working strongly in 10 to 15 minutes. And then you get what we call taste conditioning. And once your body gets used to getting better, as when you taste the medicine, you don't have to wait till it's absorbed. As soon as you taste the medicine, your body starts to get better, your brain starts to work better, whatever the problem is starts to work better. So powder medicine's much better than tablets and capsules. The sixth tool was a pocket powder medicine dispenser, a little dispenser that you have in your pocket. I should have it here, I haven't got it, but anyway, it's a little bit like this. You just pop it in your mouth and press the button and drop the powder on your tongue, and you can do that anytime, anywhere, even driving the car or on the bus or at your desk or wherever. In moments you can drop the powder on your tongue, and at first it starts to work in 5 minutes, and soon it starts to work as soon as you taste it. So that's much faster. And having the powder in a jar with a little scoop was cumbersome and not as convenient, but having it in a pocket powder dispenser made that very fast. The next tool was a heartbeat meditation aid. It's just a shortened stethoscope so that you can put the stethoscope in your ears and listen to your heart, and your heart is loud and strong and interesting, and that helps you to forget all your problems, which is basically what you do when you do meditation. When you do meditation, you focus on your breathing or a word, and that helps you to have a rest from all your problems. But your breathing or a word are not very attention grabbing, and listening to your heart with a short stethoscope is much more attention grabbing. The eighth tool was a bigger powder dispenser, but it's not a medicine dispenser, it's a fruit powder dispenser, because you can use a lovely taste to make habits and to break habits. If you are trying to make a habit, like exercise or studying or playing a piano or whatever, if every time you do it you have a lovely taste, drop some lovely fruit powder on your tongue and have a lovely taste, that makes it easier to do the habit. And you make habits by doing the same thing over and over and over again until the triggers and the electrical messages and the chemical messages are strong. And having lovely taste helps you to do that more often. And you you break habits by doing them less and less often, by delaying them as long as you can and doing less of them. And you can use a lovely taste to help you with that. If you get the urge to smoke, and instead of that you drop some lovely powder on your tongue, my favourites, vanilla and chocolate, not because I need to go up smoking, because I don't smoke, but I just love the taste. And so if you get the urge to smoke, but you put that off by having a few tastes of lovely powder, and you delay the smoking for 15 minutes, that weakens the habit. And when it weakens the habit, you can delay it a bit longer, which weakens it even more. And you can smoke a bit less. You smoke 3/4 of the cigarette and chuck the last quarter away, and that weakens the habit as well. Most people can fairly comfortably give up smoking in 6, 8, 10 or 12 weeks. Of course, a lot of the old timers in my age group would say, "Oh, just quit, just go cold turkey," or I think it was President Ronald Reagan's wife said, "Just say no." But going cold turkey, if you can do it, well, that's fast, but most people who try cold turkey fail. The lovely taste not only helps you to break habits, but it helps you to prevent relapses, because you might give up smoking, but 3 months later something happens, and you just, a friend says, "Oh, here, have a cigarette," and you say, "Oh, I'll just have one," and you have one and you're gone. But if you can drop some lovely powder in your tongue instead of having one cigarette, then you don't relapse. But I want to tell you now about my 10th tool, which I'm very excited about because I think it'll be great. I'm a bit of a slow learner, and it took me a fair while to learn that people today, a great percentage of people want to do things very quickly. They want to watch under a minute videos, not 8, 10 or 12 minute videos, and they love scrolling, racing through lots and lots of information, and they love their phones. Everything is on their phone, and so what I realized in the end was that I not only had to have under a minute videos, I had to have 6 to 16 second videos, quarter of a minute videos, and I needed to have the tools on the phone so people could do them, whiz the phone out and do their check or learn about something anytime, anywhere, in a minute, in moments on their phone. And then I also finally learned that I had to put as much stuff as possible in scrollable form, because people love to race through lots and lots of stuff. And it's just unbelievable how much you can scroll through in a short time. And TikTok only started in 2016, but they have over 1 billion visitors every month, over 1 billion visitors every month that go to TikTok. And I'm sure go to the other, to YouTube Shorts and to Instagram and Facebook. But the reason that you can scroll through a lot very fast is there's no detail. But you want detail on the things that are important to you. When I was a medical student, the medical textbook, we had about 8 or 9 textbooks, and one was 1,200 pages, one was 1,100 pages, several were 800, 900, 1,000 pages, and there was so much detail that you only managed to read that book once or twice, and you missed a lot of stuff. And you don't want all that information, all that detail about things that are not important to you. You just want the detail on the things that are important to you. So my 10th tool, which I call Mental Fix-It Scroll Plus, you scroll through all the mental health problems and solutions, which there's about 90 of them, and you go scroll through them, and whenever you find an item that's important to you, you can instantly tap on a link to a 6 to 16 second video, and that immediately gives you a little picture of that area. And what you do is you just keep on scrolling and looking at the 6 or 16 second videos that are important to you. And when you feel you've done enough, there are enough buttons all the way through. You just press an enough button. When you press an enough button, you get an instant list of the videos, the 6 to 16 second videos that you watched. So maybe there's 5, 7, 8, 9. You've got them all there, and you can watch them again. And you might watch some of them and say, oh no, that's not so important, and just delete that. But you end up with the most important ones, and you watch them several times till you really understand. But each 6 to 16 second video is linked to 1 minute videos. So you can go from the 6 to 16 second video to a 1 minute video and get more information. Or you can go to the Mental Fix-It app, and the Mental Fix-It app tells you the 6 1 minute videos that will help your mix of problems most. So now I want to take you through some aspects of the Scroll Plus tool. Unfortunately, my technical person is doing university exams at the moment, and we won't have it up on line for maybe another 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm going through it every day and trying to make it shorter and clearer and more important. And we're going to also try to make ebook out of it as well. So let me read you, first of all, some of the theory behind it. These are my conclusions. I hope you don't mind if I read them. The developed world's greatest need is far better mental health care. With present slow, weak, costly methods and tools, there'll never be enough effective mental health care, and 95% of addictions are end-stage mental illness. 95% of the addictions I saw, and I treated about 8,000 addicts in over 50,000 consultations over the years. I had my own addiction clinic for 5 years. And I found that what happened was, in a crisis, a mentally troubled person would find it was much faster, more convenient and lower cost to get some help from on the streets with alcohol or with cocaine or crystal meth or heroin or something. And they only needed a little bit at the beginning, so they didn't cost very much, and the drug dealers would sometimes give it to them just to get them started. So 95% of addictions are end-stage mental illness. If we want to fix addiction, we have to fix mental illness. Now, this is interesting. I don't know how true it is, but what I think is whoever mass markets far better mental health care may become a Nobel Prize winner, may be globally revered and loved, extremely wealthy, and historical figures go down in history. The person who solves the world's mental health cares very efficiently will go down in history. With technology and tools, it's not hard to do what's needed for mentally unhealthy people, but the present mental health workers and pharmaceutical industry will take many years to change. So over 22 years I developed the needed changes and 10 effective tools, which I've just mentioned. For 100 years more, clinics have been doing infrequent, inconvenient, slow, costly face-to-face consultations. Now, some face-to-face consultation is a great help, but it's very slow, it's very costly, and with an online program you don't forget anything. Everything is there. I've been through it 20 times. I've got everything there. But when you're talking to someone, you forget to ask about this, or if you forget to tell them about that. The pharmaceutical industry ruthlessly chases high sales and profits by making many medicines addictive. Virtually all, the commonest mental health disorders are the worry anxiety disorders. That's general anxiety, social anxiety, panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorder, all sorts of phobias. That's the commonest mental health disorder, and virtually all the medicines for that are addictive. Originally, all the barbiturates were addictive, some of them horribly addictive, and then in the 1960s we've got these wonderful new medicines, Valium, Seropax, Mogadon, Xanax. They were all addictive too. And then we got Ambien and Silnox, and they're addictive as well. A few years ago I checked what the 100 commonest medicines prescribed in America were in that particular year. Every year the Americans put out a list of the 100 commonest prescribed medicines, and the commonest prescribed medicine for 3 years in a row was Ambien. Ambien is a tranquilizer, and it wasn't the most prescribed medicine because it was a very good medicine. It was because it was a very addictive medicine. I still remember having one patient referred to me because he was taking 17 Ambien or Silnox tablets a day. I still remember one family of grandma, mum and a brain damaged teenager, and the mother was taking about 8 or 10 Silnox a day. The grandmother was taking about a dozen, and the head injured boy, as well as drinking a lot of alcohol, was taking about 15 Silnox a day. So addictive and slow, swallowed medicines that take half an hour to an hour to start to work and 1 to 2 hours to work too strongly, just too slow. So the introduction to the Mental Fix-It scroll says the 3 most important factors in having a good life are growing your mental health, having enough good relationships, and avoiding addictions. There are no perfect mums, dads, families, homes or schools, so all children start with some problems. And there are no perfect countries, communities, jobs or marriages, so all adults have some problems. And some suffer so much and get so little help that in distress they get street help and become addicts. Often do scroll plus anytime, anywhere on your phone. Race through mental health and addiction problems, solutions, the main ones which are in green and gold, in a few minutes, and instantly find the ones that are a problem for you, and instantly tap the link to the 6 to 16 video, 6 to 16 second video. Whenever you feel you've done enough questions, preferably do them all, but a lot of people haven't got a very long attention span when they've got these problems, so just tap enough gives you the list of all the 3, 4, 5 or 6 very short videos you've watched. You can watch them again, and then they have links to 1-minute videos, and you can watch the 1-minute videos. And as you narrow things down, you'll have more time to go into more detail about the things that are important to you. So then you can do the Mental Fix-It app. Originally it was a 10-minute app, but that was too long, so we made it a 5-minute app, and even that's too long. So we've now, just in the last day or two, finished converting it on Android to being a 2-minute app, and soon within a month we'll have it on iPhones as a 2-minute app, and that will give you the 6 1-minute videos that will help you most with your problems. So there are 9 groups of these mental health problems and solutions. Group 1 is bad feelings are usually what trouble us most, and there's 17 items under that. Group 2 is to be happy and healthy, grow your mental health, and there's 11 items under that. No, 10 items under that. Group 3 is down on mental health disorders. Mental health disorders, you're either too high and uptight or you're too low and depressed. So, and the medicines are either uppers or downers. They give you downers when you're too up and uptight, as with anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder and so on, or uppers if you're too low, with depression or bipolar disorder or attention deficit disorder, ADD, ADHD, where the front part of your brain's only half awake. So group 3, Downer mental disorders, there's 11 of them. Group 4, upper mental health disorders, there's 9 of them. Group 5, good relationships are almost as important as mental health and depend on mental health. Good relationships, so important. There's 8 items there. Group 6 is families. Families, so important. They're very important if they're good, and they're very important if they're bad, because most mental health problems are family problems. And sadly, the problems spread within the family. If one member of the family is very troubled, the other family members will be troubled, and it goes from generation to generation. If someone is very troubled, it's likely that some of that will rub off on 1 or 2 or 3 of their children, and then their grandchildren. So families are very important, and there's 8 items under that. And habits are very important. Habits are so important. Our brain is so busy that it can't consciously do everything, and it has to make a lot of what we do automatic and unconscious. 60 to 65% of our life is unconscious, automatic things that just happen without us thinking about them. What our brain does is everything that we do over and over and over again, it makes automatic and unconscious. It makes the triggers stronger and stronger and stronger, and the messages, the electrical messages in your nerves, and the chemical messages in your tissues and your blood stronger and stronger and stronger till they just happen, and your brain can concentrate on the very difficult things and on the new things, and just a bit under about a third of our life is conscious. So habits are so important, and because as you go through life, your habits need to change. The habits you have as a child are different to the habits you have as a teenager, which is different to the habits you have when you're in your 20s or 30s, which are different to the habits that you need in middle age or old age or retirement. So it's very important to be able to make new habits, to be able to make things that you need to do often automatic, that are new in your life. And it's very important to be able to break habits, because some of our habits which were important when they started become a problem, are a nuisance, do harm, and you need to be able to break habits. So let's just talk about habits for a little while. There's 8 items under habits in the scroll Fix It. So let's scroll through what those items are. The more or less principle is the more we repeat something, the easier it gets to do it, and the harder it gets to stop doing it. And the less we do something, the easier it gets to stop it. And the 14-second video, if that's important to you, you can just tap on this 14-second video, and I'll be presenting that. And the content is everything we do is the result of triggers and electrical messages in our brain and nerves, and chemical messages in our tissues and blood, which gets stronger the more often we do things, and weaker the less often we do. The second item under habits is our busy brain can't do everything consciously, so saves time by making what we repeat often into automatic unconscious habits that, including sleep, are 60 to 65% of our life. And if that's important to you, then you just tap on the short video, which is 11 seconds, and I'll present that. It'll be, because our world and our life keep changing, it's very important to learn how to change our habits, to learn to make new habits and to break old habits. The third item under habits is, it's far easier to make or break habits if you first get very sure about how the change will make your life better. If you're very sure that making a habit or breaking a habit is going to make your life better, it's much easier to make or break that habit. So if that's important for you, you just in the process of trying to make a new habit or trying to break an old habit, you tap on the micro video, which in this case is 14 seconds, and it says, if you want to make or break a habit, thinking and talking about how doing that will make your life better makes doing it much easier. Do Google and ChatGPT searches on your proposed changes. The fourth item under habits is, tasty fruit powders from pocket dispensers make making and breaking habits easier. That's these dispensers, which I'm getting 5,000 made in Ningbo in China, but it'll be a month or two before we got them. And I've got some samples now that I experiment with and try, and have given to a few people to learn what we can. My favorite powders are vanilla and chocolate with no sugar. So making habits is easier if, when you do them, you enjoy lovely tastes of pocket dispenser fruit powder. Breaking habits is easier if you always delay them as long as possible by focusing on tasty fruit powder. So if you're trying to stop smoking, when you think of having a cigarette, you just postpone that, and you drop some lovely tasty powder on your tongue, and you just focus on the lovely taste. And when it starts to fade, you have another taste, and then another taste. The taste, a block of chocolate costs you $5, but a taste of lovely powder costs you a few cents. So you can do that often. If you can delay smoking for 15 minutes, that weakens that habit a little bit. And when you've weakened it a little bit, you can delay it for 20 minutes, and that weakens it a bit more. So you can use lovely taste to delay a habit that you're trying to break. Or if you're trying to make a habit, like doing regular exercise or learning to play the piano or focusing on your studies better, you can do that by having a lovely taste every time you do the right thing, and then you want to do the right thing more often. The lesser items under habit are, facial expressions and brain chemistry are strongly connected. Smiling and laughing boosts happy brain chemistry, and frowning suppresses it. And if that's of interest to you, you just tap on the 14-second video, and it says, it's easy to control your facial expressions, and that helps you to manage your brain chemistry. If you know that smiling increases your happy brain chemistry, then you smile often, and you try not to frown. The sixth item under that is, breathing and brain chemistry are strongly connected. Steady, regular, gentle breathing for a few minutes, anytime, anywhere, calms and steadies you. It's micro meditation. So if you're getting agitated, just breathe steadily for a few minutes, and that will calm your brain chemistry. The video for that is a very short video. It's easy to control your breathing, and that helps you to manage bursts of anxiety. The seventh item is meditation is a very helpful habit. If you can't learn to meditate by focusing on your breathing or a word, learn to meditate by focusing on your loud heartbeats with a heartbeat meditation aid. I now remember why I haven't got my heartbeat meditation aid. I gave it to a friend yesterday whose daughter had an alcohol problem due to anxiety for many years, and I asked him, does she meditate? No, she doesn't meditate. If you've got an anxiety problem and you've got an alcohol problem, you got to learn to meditate, and that'll be a great help. So I gave him my meditation aid. And if you want a meditation aid, it's just a short stethoscope. We can send you one for $25 plus postage anywhere in the world. And the eighth item under habits is make repeating doing something or repeating avoiding doing something easier by smiling and congratulating yourself every time. If every time you do something that you're trying to make into a habit, you smile and you congratulate, oh, good on you, Neil, you did that, it'll be easier to do it next time. So every time you do something that you're trying to turn into a habit, just smile and congratulate yourself. Or if you're trying to break a habit, every time you manage to delay it for a significant amount of time, or even sometimes miss it, smile and congratulate yourself, and it'll become easier. The eighth group is powder medicines in pocket dispensers. That's me. There's 11 items under that. So let me tell you, there's a longish or a 1 minute video on that. The great advantages of non-addictive, tasty, tongue-absorbed powder medicines in pocket dispensers. That's a video that is on smilefixit.com. So the first item under powder medicines is cut anxiety, insomnia, PTSD and craving for alcohol, tranquilizers, sleepers, marijuana, heroin and addictive painkillers with non-addictive pocket dispenser Calm Fast 3. So Calm Fast 3 has got 3 medicines in it, and it's powder, and it's in your pocket in a dispenser, and you can whiz it out and drop it on your tongue anytime, anywhere. As soon as you start to feel anxiety, insomnia, PTSD or craving for alcohol, tranquilizers, sleepers, marijuana, heroin, or one of the components is baclofen. Baclofen is a calming medicine that's a very good muscle relaxant, and it suppresses some addictions, and it's slightly addictive. I can't find anything that's not addictive, but it's only slightly addictive. But by combining it with another medicine, mirtazapine is a very calming antidepressant, and a microdose of naltrexone. Naltrexone boosts your endorphins, and that calms you. So that combination of 3 things is which you can take as soon as the problem starts. It's so much easier to stop problems just as they're starting than to make them go away once they're established. And that's what you do with a tablet or a capsule. You take it and it's half an hour to an hour before it starts to work, and 1 to 2 hours before it's working strongly. So you're trying to make that feeling, which is by then strong, you're trying to make it go away. Much better with powder as soon as the problem starts, and stop it from getting strong. Second item under powder medicines is low morning fix. powder is stimulating fluoxetine antidepressant combined with fast-acting stimulant modafinil. And why is that? That's because antidepressants usually take somewhere between 1 and 3 weeks to start lifting your depression. And that's a long time for a person who's suffering badly enough with their depression to make an appointment and go see a doctor. And in that 1 to 3 weeks while they're waiting for the antidepressant to work, they may drink far too much alcohol or smoke a lot of pot or even take some heroin. But by combining modafinil, which starts to work in powder on your tongue in 5 minutes, they get an immediate effect. It's more a stimulant effect than an antidepressant effect, but it helps them. And that helps them to avoid the pitfall of alcohol and street drugs while they're waiting for their antidepressant to work. And we've got another pocket powder antidepressant medicine, which I call Low Night Fix. And Low Night Fix is calming mirtazapine antidepressant combined with faster acting microdose naltrexone, which boosts your endorphins within 3 hours, so that gives you a much faster effect. So if you're interested in that, you can just tap the 14-second video, and the 14-second video says antidepressants take 1 to 3 weeks to start working, in which time depressed people may take alcohol or street drugs. So I combined antidepressants with fast-acting pocket dispenser powder medicines, so they get a result very quickly, and it just helps them to be patient for when the antidepressant works. Another item is Upfast. Upfast is the stimulant modafinil, but it's not addictive. The 3 main ADD, ADH medicines are addictive. That's Ritalin, dexamphetamine and Adderall. Because they're addictive, in most countries the authorities will only let specialists, that's pediatricians and psychiatrists, prescribe those medicines. That creates terrible problems, because a lot of the people with ADD, ADHD are from poorer families. Their family's poor because their mum or their dad's got ADD, and they don't have a very good job, and they don't earn a very high income, and they're impulsive, because one of the main features of ADD is people are impulsive. So impulsive people are much more susceptible to street drugs. So I first learned what that mental health causes addictions when one day in a clinic I was working, I saw 15 heroin addicts and 5 of them had ADD, ADHD. And in those days, which was about 15 years ago, people used to say, oh yeah, addiction causes mental health problems. But that's, and of course addictions make mental health problems much worse. But the real thing is that the mental health problem causes suffering, and the suffering causes people to take street drugs when it's quicker, easier, more convenient and cheaper to get a bit of a street drug than to make an appointment and go to a doctor or a clinic and get a prescribed medicine. But yeah, so the wealthier, better educated families are more likely to get proper treatment from a psychiatrist or a pediatrician. But we needed a stimulant medicine, because in ADD, ADHD, the front part of your brain is only half awake, which is why you can't focus and concentrate well, and the front part of your brain normally manages other parts of your brain, and when they're not managed, you get hyperactive, or a lot of people get hyperactive, and a lot of people get very impulsive and make snap judgments, snap decisions, which are often wrong, including the snap decision to, oh, just try a bit of heroin or try a bit of cocaine. The sixth pocket dispenser powder medicine is, I call Anger Fix. Anger Fix. Anger is such a big problem. There is so much domestic violence and so much violence with little children because of the anger problem. Now, some anger is just bullying. Somebody chucks a tantrum and they find everybody does what they want them to do when they get angry, so they bully people by being angry. But most anger is what I call IAD, irritability, anger, violence disorder. IAD, irritability, anger, violence disorder. And that's because at some stage, often starting in infancy or childhood, the person had adverse things happen, or things that they needed didn't happen, and they got upset and angry so often that anger became a habit. So irritability, anger, and violence is mostly a bad habit. And that's why it's so important to be able to break that habit. And Anger Fix is a combination of a tranquilizer, a calming antidepressant, a mood stabilizer, which is sort of epilepsy medicine, and microdose naltrexone. And that combination starts to work in 5 minutes if you drop the powder on your tongue from a pocket dispenser. And if you do that sorry, I ran over the time there, but if you drop that up fast combination of 4 medicines as powder on your tongue as soon as you start to feel irritable or angry, or as soon as you know that you're going to meet someone, you're going to a place where you get irritable and angry, just drop the powder on your tongue and delay it or stop it, and that weakens it. And if you do that every time you get IAD, you've got the powder in your pocket and you drop it on your tongue and you stop it, eventually you'll break that habit. We need that so badly. Tobacco Fix is the 7th powder item. Tobacco Fix is what does smoking do for you? It does 3 things for you. Firstly, it lifts your mood a bit. It's got a slight antidepressant effect. Secondly, it boosts your energy a bit. It's a slight stimulant, a slight energizer. And thirdly, it helps you to focus and concentrate. It doesn't happen so much now, but we used to see that when people had to do something, they'd get a smoke and smoke, and then they'd be able to focus and concentrate. Well, the non-addictive stimulant modafinil combined with the endorphin boosting microdose naltrexone does those three things. It boosts your mood, it boosts your energy, and helps you focus. So, and because it's not addictive, any doctor can prescribe it. Your local doctor, family doctor, convenient. You don't have to go to a pediatrician or a psychiatrist in some faraway place with a long waiting list and high fees to deal with your ADD, ADHD. Three other powder medicines. One I call RMN, that's repeated microdose naltrexone. Naltrexone was discovered or developed in Long Island, New York in 1963 when they were looking for a solution to heroin addiction, because they found that heroin works through opiate receptors on all our cells. And they thought, if we can make a medicine that sits on the opiate receptors and blocks the heroin, we'll fix the heroin addiction. But they screwed it up. They made the naltrexone tablets far too strong. The FDA approved naltrexone as 50 milligrams, and 50 milligrams gives people terrible side effects. Very few people can stay on it, so that was a failure. Then New York's addiction commissioner, Dr. Bernard Bahari, in 1984 he had 41 methadone clinics under him. 41 methadone clinics. Oh God, what a disaster. And he was looking for something better than methadone, and so he tried naltrexone 50 milligram tablets, and the people wouldn't stay on them, and he realized they were just too strong. So then he tried 1 to 10 milligrams of naltrexone and found 3 milligrams was the best. 3 milligrams just blocked the opiate receptors for 3 hours, and in that 3 hours the brain and glands fought back and produced 250 to 300% increase in endorphins, which made people feel much better, and that helped them to avoid taking heroin or addictive painkillers. But the problem was that even 3 milligrams of naltrexone caused terrible side effects unless you stop the heroin for 3 days or the addictive painkiller for 3 days. Not many people could do that. And Dr. Bahari lost interest in heroin because at that time they discovered they had HIV in New York. They didn't realize they had HIV, and a lot of the people they thought were dying from heroin actually dying from HIV, and they were much more worried about HIV than they were about heroin. And also he found that the endorphin boosting, which boosts the immune system, enabled quite a few people with cancer to get better. He treated about 350 cancer patients with low-dose naltrexone, and about half of them got better. But there was this problem that they had to stop opiates. They had to stop heroin, codeine, and addictive painkillers for 3 days. So what I did then was I tried from 1/8 to 1.5 milligrams of naltrexone, and strangely enough I found that 3/4 of a milligram of naltrexone blocks heroin for 1 hour and didn't cause side effects. The person didn't have to stop taking heroin. Just as soon as they started to crave heroin, if they took 3/4 of a milligram of naltrexone, it stopped their heroin craving for an hour. And after an hour, the heroin craving would start again, and we'd give them another 3/4 of a milligram. And after another hour, another 3/4 of a milligram. and after they'd taken about 6, 8 or 10 doses of 3/4 of a milligram, they could take 1.5 milligrams of naltrexone, and that blocked their heroin craving for 2 or 3 hours. And by stepping it up from 3/4 of a milligram to 1.5 milligrams to 2.25 milligrams to 3 milligrams on the third day, they could take 3 milligrams of naltrexone with no side effects and wake up the next day full of endorphins and nearly always able to stop heroin, and that also helped to stop them from relapsing, because relapsing was such a problem. So RMN is repeated 3/4 milligram microdoses of naltrexone in a pocket dispenser, which you carry wherever you go and just keep on taking doses. And then low-dose naltrexone, Dr. Bihari gave everybody 3 milligrams of naltrexone, and that didn't make sense to me, because some people were 45 kilos and some were 145 kilos. And the size of the low-dose naltrexone, I found, needed to be somewhere between 2 and 6 milligrams, depending on the person's weight, their absorption, their metabolic rate, any side effects. And so I got people to start with repeated microdose naltrexone and find out how many milligrams of naltrexone was best for them, and it was usually somewhere between 2 and 6 milligrams. So my LDN, low dose naltrexone, is 2 to 6 milligram doses. Now I think that's enough for tonight. I got other things I got to do, so thank you for watching. People want to talk to me, but I can't talk to them because we have so many viewers and so much to do. But if you can send me your comments, questions or criticisms through the platform that you watch this live streaming on, TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram or Facebook, send me your comments, questions and criticisms, and I'll respond. Or if you email me, I always respond to emails, because some people I can't respond to online because I don't have their email address. If you become a follower, I'll have your email address and I can send it but you can find my email address at smilefixit.com. At smilefixit.com, the email address, spelt how it sounds, is healthestuff@gmail. healthestuff@gmail.com. And if you can't remember that, just look it up and smilefixit.com. Today is Saturday. I do the live streaming Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Perth time and 9 a.m. Sunday Perth time, because that's a better time for the Northern Hemisphere, and many people from America, Canada, the UK, Sweden, Denmark, Norway watch, and so I'll be back again at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you. $890.